Cash, Guns, and Babies. That's the title and some of the key themes that will be brought across tonight here on Unleashing Truth. I am your host, Michael Stephen, and tonight I am going to bring a dynamic, controversial, very philosophical episode that addresses some of the key issues going on in the world today. Now, in honor of it being the third episode, and in honor of me having time to think about my mission on this podcast and platform, I want to state the three goals that I have and that I'm going to take action on. Number one, I'm going to talk about human nature. I want to talk about things, the way we behave as humans, the things we do in society, the way our brains and bodies and emotions work. How to best balance our daily lives, how to handle situations, how we all behave as human beings, and how to best make the mind, body, spirit connection individually so that we can put our best foot forward in the world. Number two is to talk about the most important issues that face all of us, timeless ones, such as parenting, intersexual dynamics, business, economy, money, guns, abortion, schools, and so forth. Talk about them in a logical, well-rounded, 360 encompassing view that looks at all sides, all angles, and tries to figure out the best solutions, if there are any. And we got to look at these items through the lens of history. Look at current events and put it in the context of what's happened both in our country and around the world prior to us being around. And number three, I'm going to interview and talk to all different types of people. And these individuals are going to be experts in their fields, bring something new and unique, both to me and to the world, and they're also going to be living their dream in some form or fashion. I believe everyone that I speak with is going to meet all three of those criteria, but even if it's just two, that's amazing. And I want to create a group of like-minded, positive, confident people where we form a community that full of passionate, well-intentioned, good-hearted individuals. And I believe the best way to do that is to bring them to the world, but also bring truth, bring realism, talk about things that may be uncomfortable so that all of us can hear it, see it, digest it, and then make our own decisions whether we want to believe what we see, believe what we hear, believe what I say, and make a move on it if they want to. We're not always going to agree, but we need to bring information, the right numbers, the right nuances, the right context, and the right mindsets so that we can all build together. I also have three philosophies that I believe in. Number one is an acronym, CLIP, which is relevant for this episode where I talk about guns for a little bit. CLIP, confident, logical, intelligent, philosophical. That's the way I talk about sports. Sports is a trivial matter, but it's fun. It's a distraction, but it's entertaining. It brings people together. You root for a team, you root for a player, you root for a college. You know, it's a fun camaraderie for your friends and family. Now, shameless plug, I have a sports podcast that I've just started called Raw Sports Debate with my great friend Leslie. And when I talk about sports, I break it down. I look at all angles. I look at numbers. I look at context. I look at it very logically and philosophically. And that's the way I break down real shit, the most important things. I use that same exact mindset. I think some people want to just banter with sports, which, again, I love banter and I love going back and forth. That's fun entertainment. But some people go on sports and they are defiant and they are just fire and brimstone and they have no nuance and don't listen to the other side. And then in important matters, they're completely like logical, philosophical, and thought-provoking. And then some people are the opposite. They are defiant on the key issues, and then they think about sports in a very philosophical manner. Well, listen, I believe that it's important to do both. Sports is more trivial, and you're allowed to have your guy and your favorite player, your favorite teams, and be a little biased. But you need to admit your bias in life as well. You need to admit your bias in sports. Admit it in life. Think about why you feel how you feel. Because number two is perspective. Your perspective, the way you grew up, where you grew up, how you grew up, your family, your friends, your environment. That shapes your worldview. And some people are able to have a three-dimensional view at an earlier age than others. Some people get it when they're 20, 25. Some people don't get it at all, ever. They go to their grave not being able to walk a mile in anyone else's shoes, let alone multiple different, genders, races, nationalities, people from all over the world, different parts of the country. We need to think about different perspectives. And I want to talk to people with different perspectives. I don't want to just live in an echo chamber. It's much easier to live in an echo chamber. It's much easier to confirm what you believe, to confirm your biases. It's a lot harder, but also much more rewarding to learn and be open-minded about the world and about important situations. And number three is, I believe we need to look at things like a court case. We need to bring back agree to disagree. You have your case, I have my case. And like a debate club or like a sports debate, you listen to each other and you say, okay, I see your points. Okay, I see your points, Michael. And okay, I don't agree with you. This is how I see it. This is why. I heard what you said, but no, I disagree. Okay, cool. That's healthy. Healthy discourse is extremely important. And so those are kind of my three philosophies. So confident, logical, intelligent, philosophical, use perspectives, and you have a court case where you can agree to disagree. Now, cash, guns, and babies. This episode will have 8 parts. Number 1 will be 10 changes that would occur in a cashless society and 10 new realities that would occur in this bizarro but upcoming world. Number 2, 10 beliefs that I have on humans and society. Number 3, 20 proverbs in the read between the lines section, the Lupe Fiasco triple entendre section. And this one's going to have an animal theme. 10 movie quotes, 10 rap quotes, 10 famous people quotes, 10 whys, and then to cap it off, 10 things that are as close to or better than a great orgasm. Part 1, a cashless society. 10 things that would change and 10 new realities that would occur. Let's backtrack and think about the origin of cash and like-minded currency around the world. Before a currency system, people would trade goods for one another. So a blacksmith creates certain household items, A chef, he makes some food. Blacksmith's hungry, chef needs some new equipment, they exchange. And then eventually, well, you have all these different small businesses. Not everybody has a demand for each other's stuff. So cash kind of comes in and becomes a one-size-fits-all intermediary where everyone could just pay each other cash. That's the origin, more or less. Now, that gradually gave way, and especially prevalent over the last few decades, to IOUs, credit cards, debit cards. Now you've involved the government, the banks, credit card companies, creditors. And these pieces of plastic, well, it saves us time. We don't have to go get exact change. We don't have to write checks. Furthermore, we can go and pay for things and pay for it now, but not actually pay for it. We pay for it on paper, but we don't actually have to go to our bank and get that money. We basically have IOUs to ourselves. So that creates an environment where, yeah, we save time, but even as adults, are we really balancing checkbooks anymore? Most of us aren't. Some of us do, most of us aren't. And now we have a less tangible relationship with the money that we make and spend. So, what are 10 things that would change in a cashless society? Some little yet important events and intricacies of life that would just be taken away. Number one, we'll start with children. No more tooth fairy. No more money in Easter eggs, piggy banks, saving up your change, just go to the bank with mommy and daddy. And that's gone. I mean, you might as well put Monopoly money for the tooth fairy. A couple $100 like you pass go. If $1 isn't worth anything, then we can put Venmo under there, put a credit card under there. No, you just lose that little bit of society. Number two, a grandparent or close uncle or aunt or great aunt can't come and surprise a little child with some money. Number three, children will not see money as often, and therefore they'll be less likely to understand its value. As I was saying earlier about tangible, actually having it in your hands, we're adults, and a lot of us struggle with it. We might rationalize that, hey, we can have some credit card debt because we get some cash back rewards, but by and large, as a society, as the general public, we lose money on that deal. Otherwise, banks wouldn't offer it. They wouldn't offer 2, 3, 4, 5% cash back if some people weren't paying an enormous amount of interest on their credit cards. So we have the fear of missing out and the you only live once mindset as adults. Now imagine children who don't use cash, don't see it, don't have it in their hands. This could be a new reality very soon. Amusement parks in many different parts of the United States are already going there. Children are seeing it right now. Oh, you can't use cash. You got to Venmo. Oh, you got to use your credit card. Got to use your phone. Just push your card right over it. It's happening right now. Number 4, and this is for children and adults. No more cash in birthday cards or holiday cards or just get well cards. Just little tiny gestures. You could still have the card, but no, just a little extra cash or check. That'll make a kid or even an adult feel loved. Number 5, no more legal under-the-table transactions that are good for both parties. You want someone to come over and fix a section of your house because you're not able to, or you don't want to do it yourself. You pay an expert in that field to come do it for you. You give them some cash. Small businesses, they like cash. Why? They don't have to work with the banks. They don't have transaction fees. Small businesses and local businesses and handymen and electricians and all different types of very important blue collar jobs, especially, they don't have to deal with bad debt expense. And that's an accounting term, but it basically means, hey, I got to chase these people down for money. I did a service, they didn't give me their money. Even if 3/4 of people do, that's 1/4. You service 100 people, that's 25 people you got to chase down or pay creditors to chase down. That's a pain. Cash right then, boom, boom, done. That's kind of slowly going away. Number 6, no more selling furniture, parts of the home, garage sales. I'm not giving some random person Venmo to give me $4 outside for one of my old shirts. I don't have a credit card machine in my house. Those types of just little offloading stuff, $50 for a dining room table, just some little table in this corner of the room. I got $50. Nah, ain't happening anymore. You're stuck with it. Number 7, no more cash donations to hungry or homeless people that you pass. Number 8, no more cash poker games. I talked to some people younger than me, and they all put, their Venmos on a sheet of paper, and they're what they're in for. Then they have to Venmo the winner or winners the money. That ain't the same. That's not the same thing, man. You got to get the cash out there. You got to put your 20 in like everyone else, and then you want to buy back in within the time period. You're playing some Hold'em. You got to put the money back in. Thank God we have Venmo. What are we going to do? Put our credit cards on the table? We can start raising each other beans and rice and pasta? Is that where we're going? Start putting some food on the table? Because I guess there's Venmo, but it's just weird. It's weird to me personally. And I can't imagine where we're going. You really want to have credit cards on the table? People are partying and, someone jacks a credit card or someone doesn't want to pay up their Venmo. That's why I joke about the beans and rice, but at least it's there. At least it's tangible. I don't know. 9, gambling at table games, in casinos, blackjack, 3-card poker, craps. Again, what are we doing? Credit cards, Venmos? That's scary. 10, speaking of credit cards, what about strip clubs? Now, I'm not a fan of strip clubs. In my opinion, it's exciting but degrading for both sides. You have a stripper up there. They feel empowered to some degree, but subconsciously probably feel degraded. And you got a customer, he or she feels excited, but subconsciously feels degraded because they can't get what they really want without, paying some real hard money for it, which, wouldn't be cash. That'd be credit card. Oh, yeah, so they could bring you in the back and make you call up your bank and just spend money that you can just pay when you get back and you're out of your stupor. So strip clubs would be even more dangerous. So those are my 10 random things that would change in a cashless society. Some with the children, some with frivolous games, and some with real business. Now, then I think about it and I say, wait, that's one thing. That's more nuts and bolts, and we could live with that. But then let's think about the actual reality that would take place. Number 1, You remember that scene in The Dark Knight where at the end, Bruce Wayne was trying to track down the Joker and Morgan Freeman / Alfred comes in there and is like, what are you doing? You're running surveillance on the whole city? Yo, this is highly illegal. Now imagine that scene from 2008, by the way. Imagine that scene on a super, super exponentially high level. He was tracking and tracing all the movements of everyone around the city. Banks who employ artificial intelligence can do that with you. All of your movements and actions are traceable because you use a card, your bank knows it. Not just that they have control of your money. It's that they can track all of your movements. They know where you are. I mean, your phone is one thing, but now they got you with your money. And number two, on that note, every transaction you make is recorded. So right now, all we see is things like, well, we'll get Facebook, Instagram, online Google ads that will, obviously someone's out there analyzing trends and they know what you want. So they start giving you more of what you want and you can't resist it. And you can't resist the advertising. So you end up buying more of what you don't need. That happens. I get it. Number three, banks will have full control over every cent you own. We know they can go into your bank accounts. They gave us stimulus checks. They can take away or deposit money for taxes each year. Or what if that goes sideways? What if, like in Canada, where people who simply donated to the trucker convoy, a freedom trucker convoy, many of who were initiated, by the way, who just said, hey, we just want some freedom. We want to stand up for human rights. But what about people who just simply donated to that cause and then the banks froze their assets, froze their money as if they were criminals in a movie and they go to the store and the credit card doesn't work? Are you kidding me? That actually happened in Canada. That's right up there. That ain't far. I know it's a different country, but that's not far. That's 2022. That's power. And even though that was eventually reversed very quickly, point is that it can happen. Happens in other parts of the world. We don't like to talk about it. It's uncomfortable, but it's true. Number four, what if you're deemed a health risk? Because, I don't know, for whatever reason, they want to deem you a health risk. You can't use your card. You can't take your money out of the bank. Number five, what do they say? Oh, you can't buy certain types of food. We already have food shortage right now. What if they say because of the economy and everything, well, if you're this status, you're this person in this location, you can't buy these types of food. Six, what if they say you can't use your cards X distance from home? Or seven, you can't use it in certain areas of the country or of the world. Again, it's all controlled. It's not like you can just pay cash because they can't control the cash that you have. But if there is no cash, everything's at the mercy of the people that have your money. 8, interest rates can skyrocket and you could do nothing about it. The banks win, the creditors win, the public loses. Small businesses lose. The everyday man, the everyday woman, just trying to make a living, they lose. 9, what about identity theft? Yeah, you can get robbed for your cash, but again, this is digital. We got hackers all over. And technology is something that, we understand safes and how to guard our money a lot better than we all understand as a people, technology and all the intricacies of that. Digital robbery is certainly possible. And 10, on the back of cash, it says, in God we trust. This is just an educated guess of mine, but something tells me that a new world currency of any form wouldn't say such a thing. Bottom line is this. We are rapidly moving toward a cashless society. Again, a lot of it for our convenience. But ultimately, it gives us, as human individuals, less power, and the banks and corporations more power. Saves us some time, but hurts us in the long run. Now, the dollar is being devalued. We keep printing cash, and there's global economics. We'll get into that on another episode. I understand it. I'm not an expert. But this is just simple. Cash is gone. What happens? And I think that we will miss it a lot more than we realize. Next, part 2, 10 beliefs on society. 5 of them are going to be about human nature and some philosophical thoughts that I have on people. 5 are going to be about some very hot topics in the world that need to be addressed immediately. Number 1, I believe that abiding by the things have always been done this way motto is not healthy. We need to respect the past and we need to respect what works, but then always look to improve and change what didn't. Doesn't mean we have to reinvent the wheel. Now, if everything was bad, then fine, reinvent the wheel. But a lot of people, and this goes for processes, this goes for people, this goes for relationships. Figure out and be honest with yourself and others what actually works and address that while respecting, oh, okay, this 60% work, let's fix the 40%. A lot of times people get personally offended. Maybe they created that old process or they wanted to hang on to those parts of the past of whatever topic that it is. And they attack you because you want to improve it or you want to just change. You want to at least address it and try to fix it. It's important to always look where you can get better. And this seems really simple, but from what I've noticed, it's not. Number 2, I believe that you should go through life not caring what other people think about you. But at the same time, care about what other people think about you. And here's what I mean. When I say I don't care about what people think about me, I don't. I used to, but I don't. I move the same way. I am the same authentic individual. I talk the same, walk the same, have the same confidence and logic and mindset everywhere I go. Now, I'm going to dress differently, obviously, at the gym than I do, going to a ball game or going to work or to a school event or to a fancy dinner. Yeah, I'm going to dress different, but I'm going to have the same style and swag about myself. I'm going to talk with the same kind of tone. I'm going to listen the same. I just might say different words. I'm going to the bar with my friends. Maybe I'm going to be a little more loose and free with some of the things that I say. Obviously, if I'm with women or men, I'm going to say different things sometimes. That's fine. But I also don't care about people. Some people see me, I might dress a certain way and they might not like it. And that's okay. I'm okay with people not liking me. A lot of people do like me, and some people don't. And I'm cool that way. I don't try to please people. At the end of the day, I'm a very kind person to people. And I treat people with respect unless they don't deserve it. But I always try to treat people with respect and with kindness. And I'm authentically myself, my own unique, weird, crazy individual. And I don't care what people think. And if you truly don't care what people think, Like there's some things I'm going to say on this episode where people are not going to like it and they are not going to like me personally, but that's okay because I truly believe that I am right. I'm also willing to admit, hey, maybe I'm not right. Maybe I can get better at it. But I don't care. And I believe that if you truly don't care what other people think about your views and your way of being, that you are free and cannot be free spiritually, mentally, emotionally, unless you truly don't care. That being said, I use my daughter as an example. She gave me an attitude one time. It was in front of some people in public. And on the side, I privately scolded her and said, you can't talk that way to me at home, let alone in public. And she's like, well, I thought you don't care about what people think about you. So I said, all right, I see your point. I see where you're coming from. I see your perspective. And then I basically just told her what I just said for the last 2 minutes. And I said, well, that's what not caring means. But do I care how you treat me and how anyone treats me in front of other people? Yes, I do care. I care what those people see me being treated like. Do you want to know why? Because if people see, a kid treating their parent a certain way, a husband treating a wife treating a husband, just somebody treating somebody they know or don't know a certain way in public, and that person accepts it, and it happens over and over again, whether you like it or not, you're lowering my social value. You're setting a precedent. You're setting an example that other people can treat me that way, and I'm just going to take it. Fair or not, I don't make the rules. That's just what it is. That's the tangible aspect of life that just happens. So if unfortunately, I see someone treat someone a certain way, I go, man, hey, they had the balls to do that in public. What would they do behind closed doors? Wow. So I don't care what people think about my way of being because I'm confident about myself and I believe I'm a good person with flaws like everyone else, but I don't care. Love me or hate me, I'm just trying to do the best I can. But I do care how everyone treats me publicly because I just feel like you have to stand up for yourself. Because if you don't, nobody else will. You do, other people will follow eventually. When you're not around, they'll stand up for you because they respect you even more. Number 3, on this note, I believe there's a difference between standing up for yourself and being confrontational. I know some people like this. They're very confrontational. It might make them hard. I don't know. But they get off on it. They love going on social media and just writing hater comments. Even if it's to nobody in particular, just shouting out loud. They got incredible road rage. It makes them feel alive, like that scene in Fight Club where Tyler Durden was like, yeah, you just had a near-life experience. That's what it's like for some of these people, I swear. I am not confrontational. But they're also, if that's A, Z is, hey, being a pushover and never, standing up for yourself and letting yourself be bullied. You just let things happen. I believe I'm more toward the higher end of the alphabet, and I stand up for myself all the time. It could be on social media. I don't fight with people, but I'll make my point calmly. It could be over a Zoom call, a WebEx call. It could be over the phone. It could be in person. It could be anywhere. I'll stand up for myself. Sometimes maybe too much so. But there is a difference. And that needs to be understood. Number 4, I believe there is a difference between nice and kind. And it's subtle, but it's actually very vital when you think about it. The word nice is thrown around a lot. And oftentimes it's meant with very good intentions. But I want to really break down what I think kind means, why I think I am a kind person. I think kindness comes when you have confidence. So I believe I'm a confident person, and that when I go and do something for someone else, I am doing it to be kind. I'm not doing it seeking something in return. I'm doing it because it's out of a place of I'm trying to help this other person and give my best to the world. Styles P from the Locks, he said, I'm a gangster and a gentleman. Meaning, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to dress the part. I'm going to be myself. And you know what? I'm going out with a lady. I'm going to hold the door for her. I'm a gentleman. You're not doing it as a supplicating gesture. You're doing it as a gentleman. From a place of love, from a place of kindness, from a place of confidence. So that's what kind is to me. Kind is all heart and doesn't care about being liked. Again, if I give something and you don't seem to receive it well, okay, fine, cool, I'm on to the next. I'll just do it again. I did my best in that situation and that's cool. But nice is expecting something in return. Nice is submissive in a way. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this with the hopes of getting this. It's why, sometimes, what's that phrase? Nice guys finish last. That's probably where it comes from. It comes from guys being overtly nice and overtly passive to women and expect something in return. Oh, I'm going to get her all this, and that's going to make her want to give me something in return. But really, you lack confidence. And really, unfortunately, that's weak, whereas being kind is strong. Being kind is selfless. I'm trying to give out stuff out of love. Being nice is selfish. You're doing something because you expect something back for you. You're thinking about yourself. So being kind is showing empathy. Being nice is low-key narcissistic. Kind is happy. Nice is not happy. Kind is assertive. Nice is passive. Kind is dishonest. Kind is honest. Altruistic. Nice is dishonest. And ultimately, kind comes from a place of love. And niceness comes from a place of fear. You don't have the confidence, so you are overly nice and indirect and passive aggressive because that's how you want to get what you're not confident enough to get. Now, again, it's perfectly cool. People go, oh, that's a nice person. That's a nice guy. Yeah, I get that. And they probably mean it perfectly fine. But I don't know. I've realized the difference over the years. And I think that it's something that needs to be said. I try not to use it anymore. I try to say, yo, that's a cool dude. Or she's a really kind woman. And, people look at me a little weird. Most people don't say kind, but all the time. But I think it's an important word. And I think when you really think about it from a deep subconscious philosophical level, it's subtle, but it's a really big difference. Number 5, speaking of trustworthiness. I believe in accountability. I believe that it's okay to admit when you're wrong. I believe that it's very important that you admit when you're wrong. I sometimes joke that I do it so that way I could be more defiant when I'm right. But I actually just do it out of a place of, hey, I think I'll take the L on that one. And then when I'm right, I won't brag about it, but I'll have, as long as I talk about it respectfully, people will trust me more. They'll be like, well, Michael always says he admitted all those things when he messes up. So yeah, and he seems pretty confident about what he's saying right now. He's defiant, but he's real calm about it. I'm more likely to believe him. But if I never admitted when I was wrong, and then when I try to say that I'm right, people are like, it's like, man, that dude always thinks he's right. And it's the same thing with blame versus credit. People are always blaming people for everything else and always playing a victim. Then when they want the credit for something, it's like, whoa, wait. When something goes wrong in your life, you blame everybody else. But now when something goes right, you want the credit? No. You either blame yourself when things didn't go right in your life, then you can get the credit when things do, or you can just blame everyone else when things go wrong and give everyone else credit when things go right. Got to be consistent. Number 6, speaking of accountability and owning when you're wrong and listening to other sides, I've noticed a lot on social media that there are people, opinionated people, that when they are challenged on a certain topic, usually on hot topics and controversial topics, when they are challenged from someone and that challenge is very respectful, calm, nuanced, intelligent, they'll simply block those people. And in my opinion, the only time we should be blocking people on the internet or on our phones is when they are objectively toxic. I'm talking like they're cursing at you, they're calling you names, they're doing it in bad faith. Those people, yeah, I can see why you want to block them, because that just gives you negative energy, and we don't need that. It's never a good idea for us in life. But if you block people who just have a dissenting opinion, then you're being closed-minded. You could be a very intelligent, good-hearted person, but if you block everyone who doesn't agree with you, then you are not subscribing to the agree to disagree type of motto that I subscribe to. You're not being open-minded. You're being closed-minded. You're living in an echo chamber. You're just your confirmation bias squared. You're not evolving. You're not learning. You're not listening to the other side. You're not getting other people's perspectives. You can't just block people and charge them with, they thought this view, so they must be racist or misogynistic. Like, that happens. I've seen it. It's all over the place. And people that I like and I respect or had more respect for before they did things like that. I don't like to partake in a lot of social media debates, but I believe the healthiest way for me personally is to go on here and say how I feel. But I'm also going to comment. Sometimes I might write some tweets. I might put some posts up where I give my thoughts about important matters. And I would never block somebody who challenged me politely, ever. It's weak. Number 7, Kevin Samuels. R.I.P. to Kevin Samuels. He was a 56-year-old black man that unfortunately passed away on May 6, 2022. Now, Mr. Samuels was an online influencer who eventually became a YouTube and Instagram sensation. He started out as an image consultant and talked to men about how to be the best versions of themselves and how to be a quote-unquote high-value man. He was very upfront, very forthright, spoke his mind, and eventually he found his lane, speaking about intersexual dynamics, where he would, in my opinion, really try to, in his own way, help men and women understand their worth and how to get better and what kind of partner was suitable for them. Now, he found his niche in and eventually got up to about 1.4 million followers by having a show where women would call in and they would talk to him about their relationships and about their situations. And he was very blunt. He would say things that were pretty cold. Like he, for instance, said, unmarried women over 35 are leftover women, which I don't agree with. Do I agree partly with that? Yes. Do I agree totally with that? Absolutely not. There's plenty of great women that I personally know over the age of 35, and maybe their life didn't work out perfectly for them, but there's still a great man out there for them. They can mature and evolve as they get older. I'll get into my opinions on the male-female dating game soon enough. But the bottom line is he's entitled to his opinion. And what he was great at was chopping down very entitled women. Women that thought they were a lot higher on the food chain than they really were. And I think there's some men that are entitled. I think there's some women that are entitled. Do I think there's more women that are entitled in today's dating market? Yes. And Kevin served a function of, hey, I'm trying to make men be, he was an image consultant for men. And he tried to get them to get on their grind and talk about ways that they can improve themselves. But he went on there and he wore a tux or a three-piece suit. And he might as well have been an executioner. Dressed way nicer than this. And he's got them on a chopping block, and he put the plastic coat over him so he doesn't get any blood on him. He just blunt force trauma. Metaphorically, of course. He was cold. He was harsh. And we need more of that in our world. I disagree with, I'm just going to say 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 things that he would say. But you know what? The other 2/3, the other 3/4, I loved it. Because he said it very nuanced, he said it very direct, and he said what needed to be said. Kind of a fact over a feeling type of thing. And the bottom line is, the reason I bring him up is not only to kind of pay homage to someone who was making a mark. Whether he was a good dude or not, I don't know. I don't know a lot of people. I align with ideas over individuals and ideologies. I just think he had a lot of good ideas and good points. Like, for instance, he was saying that a lot of women that are higher educated were not going for the George Jefferson type of men. George Jefferson was a black man who made it in a blue-collar world on a TV show. And that was a very good point. I understood that. I ran that by some people, and they agree with that. So he did make a lot of cold, callous points, but he made some really nuanced and important points that needed to be heard that other people weren't saying. That being said, he passed away, and there were people, women especially, but also some men, probably some of those nice guys trying to curry favor. I would call them feminist men trying to curry favor with the women, or men who, aren't in touch with their masculinity like they need to be. Foreshadowing for my next point. These people were dancing on his grave. They were happy that he died. They were celebrating. I mean, it's one thing, again, I'm not a woman. I am not a black woman. Many black women felt like he was very unfair to their portion of culture. So I can't fully understand that. And maybe if I was in their shoes, I would say privately, like, I'm glad that mofo's not around. But to go out there on podcasts, to go out there and tweet, to go out there and speak and dance on his grave and literally be happy that the man's not around because he spoke the truth. And you call up his show, and sometimes he was rude and he wouldn't let people cut them off. And sometimes he would cut them off, and he said, "Ma'am, you called my show?" And he was calm about it, but he was not nice. He wasn't kind either. He was cold. But they call up and they got mad. Some of them took it well. Some of them didn't take it well. And it's like, yo. It's like you're going to Buffalo Wild Wings and you're complaining that the menu has all wings. It's like, oh man, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. I wanted some, some lobster, some escargot, some shrimp. It's like, yo, you went to Buffalo Wild Wings. What did you expect? You called up Kevin Samuels. What did you expect was going to happen? You asked for it. He gave you the truth, uncut and raw. We need more uncut and raw. Was he a little toxic? Maybe. But he was more truth than he was toxic. And then you got the other part of it, which is that some people will be like, well, you listen to what he said. Oh, you like that? I can't believe you. It's like, yeah, I don't necessarily like the man. I don't even know the man, but I respect some of the things that he said. It's like, oh, I can't believe that you would even, give him that dignity. And it's like, wait, you know who that reminds me of? Donald J. Trump. Because I didn't like Trump. I don't like Trump. But I like some of the stuff that he stood for. I like some of the stuff that he said. Now, I'm not comparing him to Kevin Samuel. I agree with more of Kevin Samuel said than what Donald Trump said. But the general gist of what I'm saying is that people you meet in the world, they'll think something of you. Some people will think something of you if you just agree with some of that. Oh, it's like he was so divisive, Trump. And it was like, if you just agree with a few of his points, oh my God, like you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're sexist. It's like, you're a bigot, what? I just said I agree with some of the things that he said. So there is a corollary here. R.I.P. to Kevin Samuels. I wish he was still around. He was an important voice. And I think he will be missed. Number 8, toxic masculinity. This phrase has been around for a while. And we got mansplaining and manspreading. There's a war on masculinity in this country. I think there's a war on traditional femininity as well. And I think there's toxic femininity, where women want equality where it suits them, and then they want their traditional chivalry as well. So they want to have their cake and eat it too. And that's what society is breeding them to be like. That's why people like Kevin Samuel were important, because he kind of knocked them down a peg and said, hey, we want equality, but not superiority here. Traditional masculinity is not toxic. What's toxic is weak men who lack masculinity and testosterone. Our country is in a state of unbalanced masculine and feminine energy, which is causing extreme harm to all women, men, and most of all, children. Children need a mother and a father, preferably in the same house. If not, they need to co-parent the best that they can. They need a mother and a father, so that the masculine and feminine energy can work together. Men have their feminine side, women have their man side, but a mother cannot do both. A man cannot do both. And not only that, masculine and feminine energy needs to work together for the community. And, when I think about toxic masculinity, it's like, and mansplaining, it's like, mansplaining just means you're explaining stuff logical, cold and calculating, maybe a little bit of philosophy, very direct. Manspreading, that's just how I sit. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I sat like a traditional woman, I think a lot of traditional women wouldn't find that very attractive, quite honestly, because it's not natural for me personally. It's not a bad thing to be masculine. Now, it's a bad thing to be a weak man. Why? Because weak men are men that not only necessarily maybe can't defend themselves, but weak men can also be weak emotionally. That could be a skinny guy. That could be a guy my size. That could be a super big bodybuilder, NFL player. If you're weak emotionally and you can't control your emotions, you're the kind of guy that I don't want my daughter dating. You're the kind of guy who's not going to be able to handle situations, and you're going to lash out and be physical with women. That's not cool. So you got weak men who I think do that, and you've got overly toxic men who think they can get away with everything that do that. You want to be that guy in the middle. You want to be a good man, like Jordan Peterson said. A good man is a dangerous man who knows how to harness it and control it. That's what a masculine man really is. And women, a lot of women in this day and age are too masculine. I'm not going to get into the reasons why. That could be for another day, and I want to get other people's opinions on how exactly that's happened. But women can't act like they are entitled to get physical with a man just because they're a woman. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to provoke and be physical with a guy and then say, you can't do it back. Both of it is wrong. We need to remember how to control our emotions as individuals, in relationships, with friendships. And I just think that now we're in 2022, and we need to find that right balance. I feel like we're starting to see a little more of it. I think there's a lot of healthy social media channels, a lot of healthy people that I meet in my life. And I think that that's part of one of my goals here is to talk to people, like connect with each other and build communities, but also kind of talk to the world and say hey, there's this middle ground here for men. You could be a masculine man. And as Vito Corleone said, you cannot be a real man if you don't spend time with your family. You're supposed to be a family man. Provide, treat your wife and kids well. If it doesn't work out, always be there for your kids. Always be there for your friends and your family. And women, a woman has a right. I'm raising a daughter. I encourage her. She can have the same skills and artistry and abilities that a man can. She just can't grow as much muscle as a comparable man can because of testosterone versus estrogen, which is just biological. But that traditional femininity and traditional masculinity, the healthy approaches, the right niches there, that's what we need to get back to. Number 9, abortion. Abortion is a hot topic right now. Roe versus Wade is back in the news. It's possible that it's to distract us from other events going on. But abortion is a timeless, intricate, very important matter. It always has been and always will be. It's at once a cut and dry issue, but also very complex. So I'm going to start by breaking it down at a human level. A man and a woman get together. Now, they could be together for a few years, a few months, a few hours, hell, even a few minutes. And they get together, they spend some time together, and the sperm goes up there, and the egg picks it, and boom, the woman becomes pregnant. Now, let's fast forward approximately 9 months. After that, the man and the woman are responsible for raising that child together. If unfortunately the relationship doesn't work out, let's just say the man absconds, he doesn't want to pay for the baby, the woman has legal right and legal recourse through the government, through the state, to have that man pay. They're in it together. They created the situation, now they're in it together. Conversely, perhaps, and this does happen, but not obviously more rare, the woman doesn't want any part of it. The man keeps it. He would have legal obligation through the government, through the state, through the legal system to have that woman pay for it. So they started it out together. They got in this together. They created a life together, and now they're responsible for paying for that life for 18 plus years together. Which then stands to reason, well, the conversation about what's going to happen should be between the man and the woman. There needs to be a dialogue. It could be uncomfortable, depending on the situation, depending, again, how long they've been together, what their status is, married or not, how old they are, how much money they make, where they live. All important parts, their families. Everything is important here. But the most important thing is that the man and the woman need to speak about it together. Ultimately, it's the woman's call. It is her body. She is the one that will have to birth the child. Go through the entire pregnancy and burn the child. Now, if she was to abort the baby, she is the one that has to live with that physically, mentally, spiritually, in her soul. She will have to own that. It will affect her more than the man. It would still obviously affect the man to some degree. I'm sure it would, but not as much tangibly as it would the woman. And therefore, while there needs to be a dialogue, it is ultimately the woman's call, and the man needs to respect that, provided there was a healthy conversation about it. That's how I see it on an anecdotal level. Now, I have 5 thoughts at this point in time about abortion and how it relates to today's society. Number 1, abortion is murder. Don't sugarcoat it. It is what it is. Whether it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 5 months, 7 months, right up until the baby's born, you see the fetus inside the woman at ultrasounds. It's not part of the woman. It is an absolute new life that is inside of a woman and growing there, relying on her to live, but it is a life. If you decide to take it and abort it, you are killing someone. You are murdering the future child. Period. So number 2, I don't think it's humane to celebrate the fact that abortion's legal and it needs to be legal, and that, you see these rallies and these protests and these people going crazy about it. At the end of the day, most of those people are using it as a form of contraception. What happened to accountability? To say, oh, I can just go out there and have my whole phase and I can just go abort if I need to and just keep it moving. I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm not saying that's a lot, but that kind of mindset seems to be growing, and it's borderline evil. You're basically saying, oh, well, I can just kill it. It's not born yet. It's cool. Number 3, I feel like a lot of these same people are the ones that are still wearing masks, forcing their kids to wear masks and want everyone else to wear masks. To what? To stop a virus from spreading and possibly killing someone. So You're going to want to wear a mask to stop a killing, but you're not. You're going to go and celebrate the fact that you can murder some unborn child, an innocent person. And you want to wear a mask, right? You want everyone else to wear a mask, but you won't wear a condom. You won't make your partner wear a condom. Oh, so you can cover up your breathing, but you don't want to cover up your pleasure zone. That's hypocritical. That's hypocritical. I don't stand for that. You can't have it both ways. Number 4, my body, my choice. As I said earlier, ultimately, it's a woman's choice, as long as she has dialogue with a man. But the my body, my choice being celebrated, well, that rings a little hollow here in 2022 after what I've witnessed in the last couple of years. And you know what I'm talking about. But Michael, you know that abortions aren't contagious. Viruses can be contagious, and that's why we need to mandate initiations. Well, if your medicine worked, then you shouldn't worry about everyone else taking theirs. And if your medicine doesn't work, you have no right to force it on everyone else, including children. Me, I am my body, my choice. When it comes to that, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, infinite number of initiations. I will not judge you. You can have 0. I will not judge you. It is a personal decision. But let's be consistent on the my body, my choice. And number 5, what is a woman? It's a woman's choice, but we're in 2022. What is a woman? Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she doesn't know. She's not a biologist. Matt Walsh, props to him. Just came out with a documentary. What is a woman? Now, I don't put people in boxes, but the celebration and using it as contraception crowd, the pro-mask crowd, the pro-mandate initiation crowd, and the what is a woman crowd, draw a Venn diagram, a lot of them it's the same people. Not all, but some of those people fit all 4 of those boxes, or at least a few of them, or at least 2 of them. And I bring it back to number 1. You're trying to do all these things, but at the end of the day, you're doing it why? For murder. And if your head's spinning, it's because it doesn't make logical sense. The my body, my choice is a logical fallacy. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, I want this for my body. You have to do it for your body when it comes to what's gone on in the last 2 years. Again, if it doesn't work, if it works for you, then you don't worry about anybody else. If it doesn't work for you, you can't force it on other people. That's a logical fallacy. At best, it's immaterial. But there's no material or immateriality threshold when it comes to what abortion is. It is what it is. So I have a solution to this timeless problem. My solution is, if there is a rape, incest, or underage situation, which is horrible to think about, or any kind of combo of those, that should be the only time that abortion is on the table. Rape, incest, underage, any combination. It should be on the table. Now, there are people in that situation who wouldn't want to do it. Because, again, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual event that abortion truly is. Maybe some people are numb to it, but that's what it is on a metaphysical level. But they should have a right to do it because they didn't deserve that. That is a horrible act that's been committed to them. And therefore, they want to use abortion to get their old life back, and they're okay with dealing with it. And they talk about it with their parents and their family. Fine. You can prove that was the case, do it. I know that's not an easy thing to always prove, but that's it. Now, I know what you're saying, Michael. What about if people, two people can't afford it? And I get that. I understand that. Maybe they're young. Maybe they just, they're not where they want to be in life. You know what I say? I said, well, you got yourself in this mess. You need to both own it and have accountability. Have this child, put it up for adoption. There are many people who are in a position to have a child, and unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards for them biologically. And that would be the solution to that. So abortion is a very touchy topic. I believe that men, women should be able to discuss this in a rational manner, and that I will be open to discussing it with anybody. But that's how I see it. I see it as it is murder, should not be celebrated. You got the mask, condom, hypocrisy. You got the my body, my choice hypocrisy. You got the what is a woman and a woman's choice hypocrisy. We've got a lot of hypocrisy here. And we're sugarcoating the fact of what it is and what it can really do, and how, at the end of the day, we should be celebrating life. We shouldn't be straight up killing it for inconvenience. We need to be celebrating it. And number 10, guns. Another major, timeless, and vital topic that needs to be discussed in a nuanced manner. Because it's me, I'm going to break it down 1 through 5 again. I'm going to start with laws. Laws are for good people. Bad people break laws. Bad people like gangsters, killers, rapists, people who do harm to others and don't feel bad about it. I'm talking about real bad people who get off on, like Jimmy Conway and Goodfellas. They root for the bad guys in movies. They're just bad guys. They don't mind sticking a gun on someone. They're just bad people. They break laws. They sell drugs. They sell drugs to kids. They don't care. They're just about making money and living that American dream. Now, I'm not talking about people who smoke weed, snort some coke, do some acid or mushrooms to, broaden their horizons. Bad people break laws. Good people don't break laws. They follow the rules. Ultimately, laws are made for good people. Good people should have guns to be able to protect ourselves, our loved ones, our home. Guns should be protecting citizens against its own government and world invaders. That's part of what having guns is about. Just in case shit hits the fan, you could protect yourself. If we outlaw guns, there's still going to be black markets, still going to be illegal gun sales, and these same bad people are still going to get guns. So now, it's either good people and bad people with guns, or bad people and bad people with guns. Take your pick. You can argue some people in power will keep them too. Okay, maybe there's some good people in power. I'd like to think so. So then bad people, and people with power, with guns. The average man, the average good person, no guns. Not good. Number 2, school shootings. School shootings are up in the last couple decades. Why have these been occurring more often than ever? Guns have always been around. You know, my daughter goes to public school. It's every parent's worst nightmare. It's incredibly heartbreaking. The images, the imagery, the stories, you know, kid bleeding out, no one there to save them. It's just a horrifying, disgusting thought that a parent could never get over. My heart goes out to all those parents that have ever lost a child in general, but especially in this horrible, heartless fashion. But number three, the media puts these stories out there because they are serious stories, but it's also to play on your heartstrings. The media does not give the same attention to kids that are killed in inner cities, like Chicago, where there's been a few hundred deaths in the last 2 years, and other inner cities, because we can't relate to that. Yeah, school shootings are more surreal, but numerically, materially, we have more of a problem in our inner cities that's not being shown on the national news. Number four is mental health. We have a mental health crisis in this country for many reasons. Lack of parenting, good parenting. Lack of fathers in the home. Video games and movies that desensitize us to this kind of violence that kids are playing at a very early age. Social isolation with phones and technology. And that was before the last couple of years, where there's been social isolation tenfold for a lot of our young kids. An over-reliance on medicine. Always looking to cure our children and ourselves with man-made pharmaceutical drugs rather than old school, tried and true natural methods. And then you got everything going on with gender dysmorphia and confusion with kids. And the entire binary, non-binary discussion. As far as I'm concerned, there's mental health issues going on with that. Again, it's every parent's choice what they want to do with their kid. I would never say otherwise. But there's only two genders. And what's going on in some of the schools can confuse the children. So we have a mental health issue. So then I think about number five is how? How does something like Uvalde happen? It pisses me off that it could even happen. How did someone with mental health issues get this equipment? It can't be that easy to get a semi-auto type of gun, can it? Why did police not intervene? The details are really murky. The reports are varied. And I go back to what I said earlier. Well, number one was laws. The same people that send those kids to elementary school, send their own kids, they're the ones that the media is trying to scare to give up their guns. They're mostly good people in the suburbs, rural areas. And they send a kid to public school. Some people private school, or homeschool. But the vast majority of people do public school, and those are the people that are being preyed on by when these events happen. So it makes me think. I'm just thinking out loud here. Laws, school shooting, playing on your heartstrings, mental health. Was someone with a mental health issue or groups of people with mental health issues used in school shootings in order to pull the heartstrings to enact law changes. We don't know. What we do know is everything I said, 1 through 4, is hard to disprove. Laws are for good people, and bad people will break the law anyway. School shootings are up in the last couple of decades. The media does give more attention to these types of events than they do to inner city epidemics of murder. Speaking of murder, let's go back to what I was talking about with abortion. These same people encourage that. And again, this is not political. I'm going to cut myself off here. This is not political. This is human. I don't align. I align with the red, white, and blue. I don't align with the red or blue. We have a mental health issue. We have a crisis in this country. And we need to get better together. But the first step in fixing a problem is admitting that we have one. And saying, hey, these major gun events, these major shootouts, these major killings, we need to get rid of our guns. That's not a solution. And what sews it in for me is that if you enact change and you try to get rid of good people owning guns and get good people to donate to nonprofits where we don't know where this money goes, what's a historical precedent? Has this ever happened before? Have governments and tyrannical regimes in history, for our own protection, made people give up their guns? Why, yes. There are many examples. Soviet Union and Germany, Turkey, China, Cambodia, Uganda. Many of these were tyrannical regimes. They had people give up their guns, and then either immediately or within a couple decades, they rounded up people who could no longer defend themselves and executed them. If we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom here, but it's just a reality. We got to address the truth in front of us. Again, many great wise men have said that guns help protect citizens from their own government. Our founding fathers knew this. That's why the Second Amendment's around. Like Dave Chappelle said, the Second Amendment's around in case the first one doesn't work out. Well, first one's having some tough times right now. And also, if there's ever people who invade our country, I'd like to be able to defend my home. And many of y'all may know about the Great Reset. Some of you may not, but look it up if you haven't, the Great Reset. And that can't happen if we all have guns. It's impossible. Wouldn't allow it. The Great Reset is you own nothing and be happy. Well, that includes guns, that includes your house, that includes money, that includes cars. By the way, gas going up. They want you to buy electric cars that they possibly can control. That's great. I want to control my own situation. So I also think about where guns function in society. We protect our president, major politicians, celebrities, sporting events, concerts, other venues. People are out there protecting it with guns. If we need help from those bad guys I was referring to earlier to break the law, we call people with guns. And And, what do you see in the school zone? It says, this is a drug-free zone. Yeah, drugs, hopefully. And a gun-free zone. And what happens if there's an emergency? We call someone with a gun. So my solution, because I don't like to talk about problems without giving my solution, which again can change, but this is where I feel at the time. We need to be able to keep our guns. But they need to be extremely difficult to purchase. There needs to be a full background check, mental health check. And I actually think that they should ensure that people know how to use them and have a full understanding of why they need it. And if something's fishy, then, maybe make that person work a little harder for it, come back with a better story. I'm not a gun aficionado. I don't pretend to be one. But I have friends that are. I've used guns. Gone to the range, gone out in backyards. I've hunted. Guns have a purpose. They have recreational purpose. They absolutely can backfire. We've seen situations, Alec Baldwin, Jason Williams, to name a couple, where, having fun with guns can have tragic consequences. But they also have real life consequences. And when you think about the breakdown of the way that history has gone for other countries, sometimes we have a tendency as a people to love America and bash America at the same time. Well, we can't sit on our high horse and say, well, it'll never happen here. Because I bet you all those other countries probably said that too. People don't want to face the inconvenient truth. And the inconvenient truth is that school shootings are extremely sad. My soul hurts when I read about those types of things, and then I keep it moving because I don't want to keep looking at it because it's heartbreaking. But we have to understand. It's like Omar on The Wire said, the game's out there and you either play or get played. Don't get played by this. Don't get played. Mental health is the main issue. Tyrannical governments throughout the world history, that's a main issue. Inner cities, main issue. Parenting, fatherhood, raising our children without technology, babysitting them. That is the main issue. Guns are a necessary evil, and I fully believe the Second Amendment needs to stand strong. Next, part 3. The Lupe Fiasco triple entendre section. Read between the lines, ancient wisdom, proverbs. I got a million of these. I'm going to break out 20 today. And in honor of monkeypox and RIP to the cows mysteriously dying from the heat, I have an animal-themed version today. The elephant in the room. The cat is out of the bag. But monkey see, monkey do. Birds of a feather flock together. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. A zebra can't change its stripes. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Curiosity killed the cat. Killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Bait and switch. Hook, line, and sinker. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Hiding in plain sight. Appearances can be deceiving. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. Don't put the cart before the horse. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So get your ducks in a row. The early bird catches the worm. And remember, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Reminds me of cash and credit cards. Part 4, 10 random movie quotes. Some related to the topics today, some just related to the world at large. It was an abortion, Michael, just like our marriage is an abortion, something that's unholy and evil. Kay Adams, The Godfather Part 2, 1974. You a communist, huh? How'd you like it, man? They tell you all the time what to do, what to think, what to feel. You want to be like a sheep, like all those other people? You own nothing, you got nothing? Do you want your father on every corner looking after you? Watching everything you do? Watching everything you say, man? Tony Montana, Scarface, 1983. The only thing in this world that gives orders is balls. Tony Montana, ever the philosopher and realist. You know what you have to do. Do it. Duke, Rocky IV, 1985. You can't handle the truth. Colonel Jessup, Jack Nicholson, A Few Good Men, 1992. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Calogero from A Bronx Tale, 1993. You're killing me, Smalls. Ham Porter from The Sandlot, 1993. I am skilled in the art of war and military tactics. The dear departed Philip from Braveheart, 1995. The time for honoring yourself will soon be at an end. Maximus Decimus Meridius, Gladiator, 2000. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Alfred, The Dark Knight, 2008. Next, part 5, 10 rap quotes. Because I'm in a particularly aggressive, ornery, fight-worthy mood tonight, I got 10 cannabis quotes. He's been on top of what's going on for a lot longer than most of us. Let's listen to him. Number 1, what happens when the money system crashes and there's no more value in the cash? 2009. The population of the planet cries out for more. They are ignored and repeatedly provoked to war, martial law. What you think they was hoping for? All you got to do is walk through that open door. Modern man is but a primitive hologram. Transhumans, revolutions with pots and pans. The God gene is the dominant strand. The politics don't matter, the left, right, or the communist plans. 2014. When liars tell the truth, nobody believes them. Then along comes somebody they can trust that deceives them. 2014. This whole wide world is one huge prison yard. Some of us are inmates, the rest are guards. We gotta break out. A huge disguise pulled over our eyes. We're awake but blind. 2018. During this age of iron and widespread gun violence, the puppet master strings are now wireless. 2018. Because y'all act like y'all are so much better than cavemen, but all that knowledge just brought you enslavement. Sentient awareness removed, dumbed down. 2018. You let that stimulus bribe by your mind. No matter how much you get, you can't buy back time. 2021. Life is all for naught. If you cannot offer your own thoughts, you will be sold without ever being bought. 2021. Goliath dropped science from the shoulders of giants. 2021. And lastly, my personal favorite. He said these histamine sneezes, respiratory wheezes, false Jesus wearing Yeezy sneakers, they're some crazy old geezers. They decide the genocide, the when and the why, like Biggie's first album, just get ready to die. The haves decide, the have-nots gotta go along for the ride. This is for those that have ears and eyes, the wise. Maybe play that back a couple times. Think about what he's talking about right there. Jay-Z comes to mind. How you feel about that, Jay-Z? Part 6, 10 quotes from famous members of society that relate to what we're talking about right now. Free thinkers will always seem crazy to those who can't see beyond conventions. Never apologize for evolving beyond people's comfort zone. Any government is evil if it carries within it the tendency to deteriorate into tyranny. The danger of such deterioration is more acute in a country in which the government has authority not only over the armed forces, but also over every channel of education and information. Those last two, Albert Einstein. These next three, George Carlin. Sooner or later, the people in this country are going to realize the government does not give a fuck about them. The government doesn't care about you or your children or your rights or your welfare or your safety. It simply doesn't give a fuck about you. It's interested in its own power. That's the only thing keeping it and expanding it wherever possible. It's a big club and you ain't in it. And the last, Carlin, I often warn people, somewhere along the way, someone's going to tell you there's no I in team. What you should tell them is maybe not. There's an I in independence, individuality, and integrity. Next one's from Booker T. Washington. A lie doesn't become truth, a wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by the majority. Next three are from Malcolm X. Fools try to ignore facts, but wise men must face facts to remain wise. The mental flexibility of the wise man permits him to keep an open mind and enables him to readjust himself whenever it becomes necessary for a change. You're not to be so blind with patriotism that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or says it. You don't have to be a man to fight for freedom. All you have to do is be an intelligent human being. Malcolm X, those last three, very strong. And lastly, you're so vain, you probably think this song is about you. Carly Simon, 50 years back. You know, these quotes, look what Malcolm X was talking about. Wise men's got to face facts to remain wise. Got to have that mental flexibility. Wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter who says it. George Carlin calling out the government. Talking about the big clubs. And Booker T. Washington saying, hey, just because the majority believes things doesn't mean that it's true. Reminds me of what Carlin said. I brought this up a couple episodes ago. Hey, never underestimate power of stupid people in large groups. Evil doesn't become good, and a lie doesn't become truth just because the majority is on board. We got to remember that. We got to normalize open-minded thinking on all levels and all topics. Part 7, the Jadakiss Why section. I love this section. This one's going to be a hot one. Why are there gender reveal parties for future babies in an era where there's no such thing as gender? And kids can pick their own gender at a few years old. Why are there baby formula and food shortages in the United States in 2022? While we brag about sending money to Ukraine. Why does the movie Cuties from 2020 exist on Netflix? And why is the critic rating 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience rating is only 16%? Just read a preview of that movie, then don't watch it. Trust me. Why did we get play-by-play and up-to-the-minute footage of the Kyle Rittenhouse and the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, but literally nothing on the Maxwell trial? Why did I get an Apple News and Conversation message on my phone that said, child suicide is on the rise? Why can't we stop it? Or no problems with mental health at all. 6, why are there Calvin Klein ads of men being pregnant? 7, why do they let professional athletes dance, celebrate, get a fumble recovery, and then go run with their 11 teammates, take a picture and pose for IG? Why do they let the millionaires do that? But college kids, if they show an ounce of emotion, they get a technical foul or a 15-yard penalty or thrown out of the game. That's strange. 8, why are their kids going to drag queen shows and concerts and parades? Why were their kids at a drag queen show right outside of Dallas, Texas, where you had biological men dressed as women in drag, acting as strippers, and kids were there with their parents, and there's a sign back there that says, "It's not going to lick itself." Are you fucking kidding me? That's great parenting. And it's disgusting. Again, I repeat, parents bringing their kids to a drag queen strip club type of event with a sign that says, "It's not going to lick itself." And then I got to listen to people on TV and Twitter compare it to Hooters or cheerleading at a football game. Well, at least with no cash, you know, at least there's a positive of no cash. Forgot to mention that one. Oh, wait, I did mention the strip club, didn't I? Yeah, just slide them a credit card. Just have the kid Venmo them. You know, these parents need to get their head on straight. Doesn't matter what party you align to. You don't bring your kids around there. Do you even think about your kids' mental well-being or what? Guess that's the downside to no abortion with some of these parents. My God. 9, why are there commercials on TV that say to kids, you can play with your friends once again, once you get initiated? Do we need to go into the studies of children and the immateriality and the risk versus reward of this? Shout out to Eric Adams in New York. Do a better job. And lastly, 10, why are the World Health Organization and World Economic Forum, why are those two organizations meeting to discuss a pandemic treaty and to discuss matters in May and June of 2022? World Health Economy. Think about the last couple years. Think about cash and controlling your money. Think about mandates. And you got the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum with Santa Claus meeting behind closed doors. No media coverage. Let's just keep an eye on it. And lastly, part 8. We're going to end with a bang. The 10 things in life closest to a great orgasm. I'll call it the cash, guns, and babies. Hey, this is how we get in that baby situation. Now, these 10 things, some of them are almost as good. Some of them, probably, they might be better than having one with the hottest Miss America, Miss Venezuela, or, Magic Mike, all right? If you're a woman watching. So, I'm going to come up with a couple honorable mentions. Feelings or vibes? On par with a great orgasm. Riding a really great roller coaster or thrill ride. Another honorable mention, hitting a home run over the fence and getting a victory lap. Because then you get to saunter around the bases and, that's pretty cool. All right, without further ado, counting down 10 to 1. Number 10, a walk-off play to win a game. A home run, a touchdown, a basket, a goal that wins a big game for you. Number 9, presenting very well on a topic that you love in front of a large group, or being publicly recognized for your abilities or getting an award. Number 8, watching your favorite team or player win the championship. Number 7, gambling and winning huge. Remember number 7. Number 6, eating when you're stoned. Eating Oreos, chocolate bars, great ice cream, warm chocolate chip cookies, any combination of those together. Churro waffles with ice cream. Hashtag Phoenix. Or some great pizza. You name it. Eating when you're stoned. Unbelievable feeling. Number 5, being in a shooting zone in basketball. Kind of like pretend, Steph Curry in Game 4 of the finals. Just, you're in a zone. It's just some kind of feeling when it happens. Number 4, finding true love and connecting in a way where your souls are aligned. Number 3, peeing when you needed to go for a while. Remember that one too. Number 2, watching your child make the game-winning walk-off play. Home run, RBI single, touchdown, basket, goal, walk-off play, watching your kid do it. And number 1, watching and witnessing the birth of your child. An amazing feeling, and unironically number 1, because how did we get here? And we got here through a great orgasm. More than likely, it's possible that didn't happen, but most of the time, that's how we got here. Now, I said to remember gambling and winning huge and peeing when you needed to go for a while. I mean, depending how much you win, that gambling could move up into the top 3 or 4, depending how much you won. And peeing when you needed to go for a while, listen, watching your child being born is amazing. But you got to go to the bathroom 45, 60, 75, 90 minutes, and you go. That's better than coming. No questions asked. I don't know. It's in the top 3 for sure. All right, I'm kidding. It's not number 1, but you know what I'm saying. And so, to end this cash, guns, and babies explosive episode, I have a little chart that I thought of mentally that I think sums up my views on leadership and boxes and some of the themes we talked about tonight. Murderers are bad. Racism is bad. Mandators are bad. Freedom to kill babies, bad, with very few caveats, as I discussed. Freedom to protect, good, with caveats. Freedom to breathe, good. Freedom of speech, good. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Have a wonderful evening. Peace out.